Hey guys! The September PTB is officially out. So during my stream earlier today, I was testing out all of the new changes. The first main change, which I also talked about in my last video, is the anti-camping system. For those of you who don't know, in this PTB when a survivor is hooked, if the killer stays within a 16 meter range of the hook, a meter will fill up, and once that meter is full, the survivor can self-unhook in both first and second stage. The closer the killer is to the hook, the faster this meter will fill, and even if just one other survivor is within the 16 meter range, the unhook meter will slow down and potentially even stop if they're close enough or if there are multiple survivors around. Initially, my main worry with this is how it would work on multi-level maps like Midwich, RPD, and the game. Because the 16 meter area around the hook also counts across different levels, that means if you're below a hook survivor on a map like, say, Midwich, but not actually anywhere near the hook, the self-unhook meter will still be building up, essentially meaning you're getting punished as killer just for walking around, patrolling gens, or chasing survivors that just happen to be underneath the hook. I understand the reason this feature was added was so killers can't just sit on top of the basement stairs or similar spots like that to kind of prevent the self-unhook from building up, but this is very, very easily abused by the survivors. As a survivor, if your teammate gets hooked, especially if you're on a multi-level map, you can intentionally take a chase either on a loop next to the hook or directly below the hook. And because the timer only slows down instead of stopping when a survivor is near, as long as you stay in close enough range long enough, there's no reason for your other two teammates that are most likely doing gens to leave those gens that they're working on, because you're effectively distracting the killer and giving your teammate a free deliverance at the same time. Run back. Nah, I missed. I think she should be able to unhook soon. Should count. Right? Surely? I don't know if pausing with reassurance makes a difference for the hook timer. I haven't been on the receiving end of it, so I don't actually know. Could be able to unhook, right? Did it? Yeah, we got it. Nice. I was gonna say that should be enough. I went down for it, but worth it for the test. Easy unhooks. Because when you go down, I'm pretty sure you don't count at all as a survivor near a hook. It doesn't count you towards it. Another thing I noticed is that the unhook meter starts filling the second the killer hooks a survivor and finishes that hooking animation. You're not given a grace period as killer to even try to leave the hook, and that means that you're basically just getting punished for doing your job. Not to mention if there's a gen nearby or a pallet that you want to kick, or say you're playing a killer like Huntress and Trickster and you just want to reload at the nearby locker to get your power back, you're getting punished for that. There's also no indication anywhere on screen for the killer to let you know when you're inside of the active zone that's filling up the bar for the survivor. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty terrible at judging distance in game. So 16 meters to me, I mean, I have a rough idea what it is, but I could potentially be in the zone and have no idea. So it would be nice if they added some kind of indicator for the killers to know. I'm actually okay with the overall idea of the anti-camping system, but I do think that there are some big changes that need to be made before this could ever go to live servers. First of all, the system should not be working on a multi-level scale. If the intention of this feature is to stop killers from sitting at the top of stairs, basement stairs, to avoid being punished, behavior needs to have the multi-level function only apply when the survivor is actually hooked in the basement itself. Or at the very least, the meter should fill significantly slower when the killer's on a different floor from them. They also need to add a 10-second grace period to give killers a chance to actually walk away from the hook before anything happens with the meter. In the patch notes, behavior also mentioned that they took special care in making sure that Bubba would no longer be able to hit a survivor who has endurance from unhook twice within the same 0.5 second time frame. And if you think that sounds like a very short time frame, that's because it is. Any decent Bubba who times their chainsaw correctly or has an add-on like Eerie Flesh will easily be able to bypass that 0.5 second time frame. I'm also fairly certain that that's the way that Bubba's already been all this time in the live servers, so I'm not sure if they actually changed anything. This whole anti-camping system won't have any real effect on a Bubba who really wants to hardcore face camp, and we all know that these kind of changes are mainly meant for killers like Bubba and other insta-downs that face camp, so kinda defeats the purpose. The other massive change to PTB is the Skull Merchant rework. Initially, when I read over the proposed changes, I wasn't really that impressed. Skull Merchant is now going to have 6 drones instead of 4, and her drones will have 2 new modes. The Stealth mode, which makes her drone beams invisible, and they move a lot slower but the drone is quieter, and the Scouting mode, where the detection beams are visible but they move much faster. If a survivor is in a range of drone, they cannot be scanned or detected while they're stationary, so that means survivors can do gens or totems and heals, stuff like that, without really being affected by the drone. And if a survivor is detected by a drone, they'll gain 1 stack of lock-on, and when they reach 3 stacks, they'll get a claw trap on them. A healthy survivor would then become injured, and an injured survivor would be put into deep wound, and the survivor would suffer from the broken status effect until the battery ran out, so it no longer exposes survivors at all. And if a survivor has a claw trap on them and enters an active drone area, they'll also get a 10% movement speed penalty for 6 seconds and be revealed by Killer Instinct. With these changes, and to prevent the Skull Merchant from guarding gens and getting free info, she's no longer able to manually activate drones anymore. Skull Merchant now feels extremely clunky and weak in this PTB. When you place a drone, it default starts in this stealth mode, which means that it's very, very slow, and even trying to drop it mid-chase to build up a stack feels like it's pointless and a waste of time. You need 3 stacks just to get somebody injured, and if you want those stacks mid-chase, you have to deploy the drone and then run around the loop a couple times, waiting for the slow detection beams to finally reach the survivor and then activate, and even then, you only get 1 stack out of the 3 that you need. And if you do happen to manage to get a survivor locked on with a claw trap, if you want that 10% movement speed penalty, you have to get them to walk into another active drone area or leave the one you're currently in and come back. So you basically need 4 detections if you want to get the full effect of this claw trap. Overall, it just feels really pointless to try and get survivors locked on, and the drones don't really do much of anything now. I think if Behavior is going to go ahead with this rework, I think a nice little change would be to have the drones default starting in their scouting mode, which is where they actually detect people. That way, if you want to use them mid-chase, you don't have to waste a bunch of time trying to get a survivor to activate it, because there's a cooldown when you pick up a drone, and then there's also a cooldown on top of placing it as well. So Skull Merchant wouldn't really be able to just spam the ability and chase efficiently, but you could at least then try and use the drones in a more hit-and-run fashion. I still think that she would need some more adjustments even after that, but I think it would be a nice step in the right direction. And moving on to some of the smaller killer tweaks in this PTB, one of my personal favorites is to the Huntress and Trickster reload speeds. So the default speed currently in live servers is 4 seconds, and in the PTB it's been lowered to 3. I personally always love running Iron Maiden on Huntress because the default reload speed is disgustingly slow and hurts my soul. So with this new change, I decided to stack Iron Maiden with the deerskin gloves, and it felt so good. Trapper also received a minor buff, so now he starts with 8 traps instead of 6, and he default gets a 7.5% haste after setting a trap. He already has an add-on to give him a 5% haste after setting a trap, so if you combine that with the new buff and use an add-on to increase the setting speed, my boy was absolutely flying. I do still hope in the future though that they will make adjustments to his actual trap spawns at the start of a match, because right now they have a habit of spawning out in the middle of nowhere and you have to waste a ton of time if you want those traps. But in the meantime, I'm gonna have a lot of fun I think with this new haste. I know they're both here. No. No. I really don't want to snack her. Oh, my stacks. That's so sad. Okay. She's gonna go for the window. She's trying to keep me here because she wants to run the meter up, but they're forgetting that because there's 2 of them, they're slowing down significantly more. Oh, I'm not gonna make that. Fine. I was trying to get the prop to pick her up, but the other girl's just out here lurking. I didn't even notice. Because the one outside the window and the one down. Flashlight. Hit with the beam. Oh, no. Sabo Gamer. Okay. Bed. Oh. She ran all the way up there. She went all the way up and around to pick up her teammate. Alright. Look at that. I can pick up, we're good. Please vault the window, please do. No, they didn't. Imagine if they did though. Yeah, no, they're trying too hard for the... Oh. What did they do? You fools! What are you doing? Okay. Well, this isn't quite the test I had in mind, but I guess it's this test that we're getting. Not even good at spad survivors can't deal with it. Yeah, like hardcore face camping against any decent survivor team that sees that will just chunk out gens and won't really be of any benefit to a killer. I think it's more so lower ranks. It's more so to deal with situations against like instant down killers like Bubba. Bubba, Billy, Iridescent, Head Huntress, stuff like that. Yeah. Does she Kobe that normally? There's no way I was... Obviously, I wasn't near her long enough for that to be a cell phone hook for the meter. I'm really isn't keeping track of where they're walking. They're all just running into me. They're trying to do the cell phone hooks, that's why. Bro, they keep picking her up when she's on top of the trap, so she just immediately steps into the trap. Thank you, free trap. Or free pallet. My eyes! Okay. Oh, please step in it. Oh. Sweet, sweet stackage. Oh, I do hear the one there. I know that this girl's going for the hook, though. Gonna tank the hit, or try to, but I'm zooming. I'm too fast for you. That one's the obsession. I don't want that one. Imagine if she stepped in that, coming back. Just gonna go around the left side. I was gonna say, if she did, oh please, please vault the window. Do it. Why would she do that? Probably because there's other girls out here. I would have grabbed her, but I don't want to risk them hopping through the window again. Bro, these survivors. This flashlight bug, not fixed. This is PTB. So in PTB, they've already fixed the bug, so that's why they re-enabled flashlights. And then it'll be going, the change will be going to live servers relatively soon, or should be. Oh, I wanna get them to step in that one trap, but I'm not going to. Too far. It's okay. They did though. The haste is really nice. Obviously, I don't get to put it on full display in like a real match. Because they're just throwing themselves at me. That's PTB, so not really surprised. But it is really nice. It is really fun. And it helps that I don't have to stay here as long. And I'm trying to set a trap, because under normal circumstances, I'm getting punished for this. Like even this trap, I think I'm in range of the hook. So her hook meter is filling up for me just trying to set my traps up. What are they doing? They really don't look down, do they? Alright, I gotta say this for last, so I'm not worried. Did it hit the wrong one? It did, bro. What? Scammed. Scammed, I tell you, scammed. Where's the other girl? She's over here. Hi, Nia. Thank you, Nia. I'll face this way, so that way I don't have to lose stacks. So if you're gonna try and go for a pickup, it's not gonna work out very well. Just what you thought of the anti-phase cam feature. Is it foolproof? No, there's a lot of issues with it. A lot of ways to easily exploit it. I'm gonna be making another video on it tonight after today's stream is over. Today's gonna be a bit of a shorter stream. It's only gonna be a 6-hour. But if you do SpaceRock YT or SpaceRock YouTube, it brings up the link to my video where I read over the patch notes and gave my thoughts on it. I went a little close, but that's fine. The speed is really nice. If you bring coffee grounds, I actually really like it. I'm gonna make that a little far back. Move the flash left. Are you a dead art gamer? Yeah, I think so. The speed, man. The speed. It was save this for last. I'm zooming. The Legion's BFF add-on was also buffed, so this add-on gives you a 4% haste in endgame as long as the killer lands enough feral frenzy strikes before the last gen pops, and because it's only active in the endgame, the movement speed was buffed from 4% to 6%, and I just had a lot of fun messing around with the full haste builds and this add-on, just seeing how fast I could get. As for the map changes, all of the Macmillan maps have received an alternate version of themselves. So the originals are still in the game, they just have like a secondary version as well, with everything just kind of slightly shifted around. I haven't had the chance to play around on all of them enough to really get a feeling of how good or how bad that change is, but one thing I will say, a big issue I noticed with all of the Macmillan maps right now is this invisible wall at the Killer Shack. Keep in mind this is happening on every single variation of Macmillan, old and new, and this isn't some like tiny little spot that you'll maybe get stuck on for a second and then keep running. This is a full-blown wall completely blocking an entire side of the Killer Shack. And then lastly, Borgo also got a rework. The map is still fairly large, but has definitely been sized down by a lot. It's much easier to patrol gens as Killer now, and there are some bad fat shame spots that need to be fixed, and potentially also a new infinite loop, but overall I enjoy the update. I'll play a clip from my earlier match when I realized that the size and layout of this one particular loop makes it very, very easy to break killer line of sight, and then they're not able to regain it. So once that line of sight is gone, unless the survivor really, really screws up the loop, there isn't a way to get close enough to start the chase again, which means as killer, if you're an M1 killer, you won't gain any bloodlust to catch up, and the window will not block, so the survivor can just keep going and going and going. If I was a normal killer that didn't have a frenzy there, that's actually just a straight up infinite. But there's a lot happening in the September PTB. Some of it I'm very excited for, and others I'm kind of keeping a close eye on to see what changes will be made. Mainly the anti-camping features and the skull merger rework. I'll be posting more videos on this as more updates come out, so if you guys enjoyed the video and you want to stay updated and see more, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of all the new changes. Hey guys, so really quickly, I just wanted to pop in here and let you all know I actually have a Patreon. Patreon is where I do all of the behind the scenes photos and videos of all of my cosplays that I do, as well as some IRL stuff that I don't post anywhere else. So if any of you guys are interested in checking that out, seeing some cool stuff, as well as maybe helping support me, all of the links for that will be down in the description below.